Hello, welcome to my channel WWE Pulse.
A lot of people forget that before Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson became one of the biggest movie stars in the world, he was entertaining audiences in a completely different way for over a decade. The Rock made people laugh and cry and cheer and boo while performing in the WWE. And one of his best tricks was getting under the skin of the audience by putting on what he called concerts. This is something that had been seen in professional wrestling since the days of Gorgeous George, and it quickly became one of the Rock's trade. But it wasn't just the insults that made these concerts so effective. It was also the incredibly catchy jabs that he would sing. So today we take a look back at some of the greatest concerts from The Rock's WWE career. But before we get started, don't forget to subscribe and leave a like so you'll never miss another video. We're gonna start off with number 10, The Rock Roasts Philadelphia. If there's one thing that fans love more than anything else about The Rock, it's his ability to insult pretty much everyone and get away with it. And in 2003, during a house show in Philadelphia, The Rock decided to go after the entire city. The Rock began his concert by calling Philadelphia a city full of cheesesteaks. And things were about to get very ugly.
He continued by claiming that Philly was just a bunch of jabronis who could understand him because they were too busy eating their stupid cheesesteaks.
The Rock then broke into song and sang about how Philly was filled with nothing but dirty socks and dirty shirts. And the worst part was that the whole thing was true. Now, if you've ever been to Philadelphia, you know that the place absolutely stinks. It's dirty, but it's also great place to get. So maybe The Rock should have saved that insult for last. Either way, this concert is definitely not one that any Philly fans will forget anytime soon. Number 9, know your role. In professional wrestling, The Rock isn't known for being a big team player. Sure, he did team up with other wrestlers on rare occasions, but he was mostly out for himself. And in the year 2000, this caused a huge problem when he ended up feuding with the entire Hardy Boys. This finally came to a head at WrestleMania 2000 when The Rock found himself in a 3-on-1 handicap match against Jeff and Matt Hardy, along with Lita, just before the match began. The Rock grabbed the mic and led the crowd in a little ditty. That explained exactly how he felt about the Hardys. He told them that they had no idea what they were doing, that they were nothing more than 2 little babies, and that they were going to pay for what was about to happen to them. To be honest, it was kind of catchy, but it didn't really help The Rock all that much in the long run. Number 8, Austin. You've lost. The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin are arguably the 2 biggest stars in professional wrestling history. They had incredible careers and both left a huge impact on the industry. But there was one thing that The Rock was particularly good at, and that was making fun of Stone Cold. When the two faced off against each other in the main event of WrestleMania 19, The Rock knew that he had to get in Austin's head, and so he put on a concert that absolutely shattered the 4th wall. The Rock came out with a guitar, and instead of insulting the audience, he began singing about how much he hated Stone Cold, and how he was going to win the match. But the most shocking thing was that he actually seemed to enjoy singing it. The Rock went on to explain that he was the Hollywood A-lister, and that Stone Cold was nothing more than a beer-drinking middle finger flipping redneck. The Rock finished his performance by telling Austin that he was going to lose and that he better get used to it. Now, Although Austin would end up winning the match, there's no doubt that The Rock's performance was one of the highlights of the evening. 7. Soul Patrol. During his time in the WWE, The Rock was managed by several different people, but by far the strangest was when he was managed by the group known as the Corporation. This group was led by the mysterious Mr. McMahon, and they were always looking for new ways to get ahead. And in 1998, they decided that the best way to do this was to form a band. Now, despite the fact that none of them could really sing or play an instrument, they still decided to call themselves the Soul Patrol, and they wanted The Rock to be their lead singer. Of course, The Rock was skeptical, but he ultimately agreed to do it. And the result was one of the most bizarre things that anyone had ever seen. In the WWE, the Soul Patrol consisted of The Rock, Mark Henry, Big Boss Man, and even occasionally Emmy Yen on the guitar. And their shows usually involved a lot of dancing and a lot of singing. Now, as you might imagine, this didn't last for very long. But it was definitely one of the most memorable moments in The Rock's career. No. 6. My name is... One of the key components to any good concert is having a great stage presence. And when it came to this, few were better than The Rock. He had a natural charisma that drew people in and made them want to hear what he had to say. And in 1996, he took this to a whole new level when he began performing a song that would become one of his signature moves. My name is... This song was essentially an extension of The Rock's promo, and it allowed him to connect with the audience in a whole new way. The song was simple but effective, and it consisted of The Rock simply introducing himself over and over again. But the way he delivered it, it was what made it so great. The Rock would come to the ring with a microphone and a baseball cap, and he would proceed to walk around the ring, stopping every now and then to introduce himself to the crowd. He would then repeat this process until he had gone around the entire ring. Once he had done this, he would raise his arms in the air and yell, "Know my name," and the crowd would go wild. No. 5. This is 4. The Rock is a master at getting under the skin of his opponents, and he would often use this to his advantage. For example, in 1999, he found himself in a feud with Triple H, and the two eventually faced off against each other at SummerSlam. The Rock knew that he needed to get inside. Triple H has had an order to win the match, and so he came up with a clever plan. The Rock began by recording a video of himself singing a song that insulted Triple H and his wife, Stephanie. He then showed this video to Triple H before the match, and it worked like a charm. Triple H became enraged and charged The Rock, which caused him to be disqualified. Now, while this may seem like a cheap trick, it's actually a very common tactic in professional wrestling. In fact, it's so common that there's even a term for it. It's called heat, and it's essentially when a wrestler does something to get the crowd angry. The goal is to make the crowd so angry that they forget about everything else and just focus on beating up the wrestler. And The Rock was a master at getting the crowd heated up. No. 4. The most electrifying. There's no denying that The Rock was one of the most electrifying performers in professional wrestling history. He had a unique ability to connect with the crowd and make them feel like he was really talking to them. And in 1998, he took this to a whole new level when he began performing a song that celebrated his own greatness. The song was simply titled "The Most electrifying, and it consisted of The Rock bragging about his accomplishments and telling the crowd how much he loved them. The song was catchy and it was also incredibly effective. The Rock would often perform the song after winning a match, and the crowd would go wild. They knew that they were witnessing something special and they didn't want it to end. No. 3. Finally. Is CM Punk one of the most underrated professional wrestlers of all time? Let us know in the comments below. Also, if you're enjoying this video, please hit the like button as it really helps us out. Anyway, let's continue. There are a few things that can get a crowd as excited as when their favorite wrestler finally defeats their arch nemesis. And when this happened to The Rock in 2003, he decided to celebrate in style. The Rock had been feuding with Hollywood Hulk Hogan for months, and the two finally faced off against each other at WrestleMania 19. The Rock knew that he needed to make this moment last as long as possible. And so he did something that no one had ever seen before. After winning the match, The Rock grabbed the microphone and led the crowd in a victory chant. The chant was simple but effective, and it consisted of The Rock yelling "finally" and the crowd responding with "it is done." The Rock would repeat this process several times before finally making his exit. One of the most important things to remember about The Rock's concerts is that they weren't just about insulting people. They were also about having fun. The Rock knew how to make people laugh, and he often used this to his advantage. For example, in 1999, he found himself in a feud with The Big Show. The two faced off against each other at WrestleMania 15, and The Rock knew that he needed to get in Big Show's head. And so he decided to do something completely unexpected. The Rock came to the ring dressed as a giant baby, and he proceeded to cry and scream for several minutes. This obviously made Big Show angry, but it also made the crowd laugh. And this is exactly what The Rock was hoping for. No one know your role. In professional wrestling, it's important to know your role. And when it comes to this, The Rock was a monster. He knew that he was the star of the show, and he never let anyone forget it. For example, in 2000, he found himself in a feud with The Big Show, and the two faced off against each other. In WrestleMania 2000, Rock knew that he needed to get in Big Show's head, and so he did something that no one had ever seen before. The Rock came to the ring dressed as a military general, and he proceeded to lead his army of fans in a victory march. This obviously made Big Show angry, but it also made the crowd go wild. They knew that they were witnessing something special, and they didn't want it to end. Which Rock concert was your favorite? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to leave a like, cause it really helps us out. Also, check out our other videos, as we've got plenty of top 10s and other amazing videos for you to watch.
Okay guys, thank you for watching my videos.